of the third for the guard will be the right fielder, number 5.
Live streaming in high definition and archived here at Texas24.net on the Texas 24/7 television network. Ken Buckner here in Mesquite, Texas. And in the bottom of the third inning, still scoreless. The number 9 hitter squaring up to bunt and not pulling back in time. It was a called strike, though, regardless. The right fielder, senior Grayson Priestner. As Cade Farr tosses his 29th pitch of this outing. And the 0-1 to Priestner. This outside wide for ball 1. On this sunny and clear day, nothing but powder blue skies above in Mesquite, Texas. The 1-1 in this low and outside. 2-1 the count. 89 degrees technically at West Mesquite, but in the sun, a lot hotter than that. The breeze does help, and it's died down a little bit since first pitch. The 2-1, and a check swing. Yes, that went around. A called strike, and that evens up the count at 2-2. And quickly working, and a swing and a miss. That's tapped. So foul ball. And it was an interesting start. We mentioned the debacle with the jerseys for Brook Hill before the game, but as the team was doing infield drills and whatnot, a throw in from first hit third baseman Jake Schaefer in the side of the head, as this one's fouled off on the 2-2. And yeah, I don't know if it completely put his lights out momentarily, but it certainly, he stayed on the ground for a little bit. He looked alert pretty immediately afterwards. Both teams' training staffs ran out there to check on him, and he is in this game, so good to go. But it was a bit of a scary moment, as this one will load the count on a pitch low and outside on a slider. And here comes the 3-2 payoff, and low and outside, and Mason Bowie, the home plate umpire, remains silent and heading to first on the free pass. First walk of the day issued by Cade Farr as Grayson Priestner heads over there to first. So the leadoff runner is aboard. And back to the top of the order. Here in the bottom of the third, no score, nobody out. And Seth Moss 0 for 1 today. Squares up to bunt, and this one immediately bounces after one hop, foul. And Seth Moss had already went full steam ahead towards first, and he takes a leisurely stroll back to grab his bat and look over at the Saints dugout now. Turns around with his right foot just on the chalk of the batter's box. Open stance for Seth Moss, the center fielder. And the sophomore waits for the 0-1, and he fouls this one off well out of play and on top of the roof of the adjacent West Mesquite High School, home of the Wranglers. 0-2 the count to Seth Moss. Runner at first, nobody away. About a 2.5, 3-step lead over there at first, and to check on him is, yeah, Cade Farr and Grayson Priestner. It is a little hard to slide back in, as we said. This is an artificial turf except for the mound. That's the only part you'll find dirt here on the infield, as this one's low and inside for ball 1. Very elastic infield, as if it's a high chopper, it's a high chopper. The 1-2, and this on the fist, fouled to the third base side, over to head coach Austin Reed in his first year at the helm, longtime assistant, 11 years an assistant for the Brook Hill School, and took over the head coaching reins this year. Still under the interim tag, but expect that to wipe away at the end of the year. 1-2 the count to Seth Moss. This outside, he cues this off the end of the bat and fouls it just to the far end of the grandstands. And over at first is Trey Webb, the first base coach for Brook Hill, and you may remember that name, a Baylor standout. He played for the Washington Nationals in the majors from 03 to 06, and then over to the San Francisco Giants until he completed his career in 2010. This is slow roller over to first, and the force at second, not in time, as a very close play has the palms outstretched by Mason Speaker, the catcher, and we'll see if there's any sort of discussion from Mike Failer out of the dugout to get a little clarification on that. But a close play, and beating the throw is Grayson Priestner.
Shortstop number 3, Connor Carson.
And that, well, would have been a close play at either bag, first or second. So now, with no outs, bottom of the third, runners at first and second for the Guard, and here comes Connor Carson, the shortstop. There's the speaker-to-speaker play, and that's ball just out of the range of Jacob Speaker, who tried to dive over a diving diving Grayson Priestner. And that is the Speaker twins play. As they're twin brothers, they try to do this at least once or twice throughout a game. And Mason has described this to me as Jacob will try to drift over to third, draw the runner away, and then using that twin telepathy, as that's an outside strike to even up the count at 1-1 to Connor Carson. And then Mason will fire the ball over to Jacob, and quite honestly, about three quarters of the time it works. The 1-1, and squaring up to bunt and fouling this high back into the stands, and right at the feet of the head of school for All Saints, Tad Bird. There is Tad, who's usually taking pictures at any of these sporting events. Quite the accomplished photographer, as well as head of school there at All Saints. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Connor Carson. With 2 on and no away, and Carson fouls off this one. On deck would be the very dangerous .435 hitter, the senior catcher Josh Jenkins, who not only last night Jenkins went 2 for 3 with a run, but also came into pitch 1 1/3 innings to shut it down, the 3-2 win, and get a save, his 4th of the year. The 1-2, this one down, and the count moves to 2-2. Still scoreless in the bottom of the third. Over at second is Grayson Priestner, and at first Seth Moss. The 2-2 about to come home from Cade Farr, and this one a slider, and this is a high chopper, and a tough play again. A.J. Mandolia, this one in time over to first. That ball just took forever and a day to get to Mandolia, who he hadn't got a good charge at that. It's a very good chance Connor Carson would have beat it out. But 1 away, meanwhile the runners move station to station and are now in scoring position at second and third with 1 out. And here comes the aforementioned Josh Jenkins. And Jenkins, with a crouched stance, watches this nice slider come in, and it freezes Jenkins at the plate for strike 1. So the wind is kicked back up and is still blowing in from right, but now it's swirling. So it's still blowing in from right field, but more right to left, sweeping across the field. The 0-1 from Cade Farr. This one, a fastball fouled off and right towards Mitsubishi that had just pulled out of its way. They have no idea how close they came. No idea. But 0-2 the count. With runners at second and third for the Guard, no outs. And the 0-2 comes home from Farr, and this one low and away, and not chasing is Josh Jenkins, who has a solitary home run on the year, 13 RBIs, 6 doubles. And any one of those right now would be massive to break up this scoreless deadlock. Check swing and down at 1 low. The appeal down to first. And he's safe, says first base umpire Doug Owens. All right. So 2-2 the count. as Jenkins did hold back on that one. On deck, the designated hitter, senior, and the pitcher of record last night to get the win, Miguel Vega, who stands towering on deck. 2 balls, 2 strikes in the deal from Cade Farr. And this a slider that catches the outside part of the plate, and that's just tough to hit even if you do swing at it. But striking out looking, and for the 5th strikeout of the afternoon, Cade Farr has now put 2 away. And that backdoor slider, boy, if Cade Farr gets that working, watch out. And here comes Miguel Vega, and he watches this one come across on the outside half of the plate for strike 1. He struck out swinging back in the first on 4 pitches and got down 0-2 in that count to Cade. And Farr kicks and delivers, and this one fouled off the end of the bat and out of play to the right side. As the players for the Guard are having a hard time getting around on the fastball, as one might expect. As that fastball is, we'll go with low 90s as far as the velocity. And I'll use an astute observation here from the press box of that changeup is about 15-mile-an-hour slower. So that certainly to the eyeball test makes it look a heck of a lot faster. But the wind is pushing it maybe a little faster, so who knows? All I know is I can't hit the thing. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 away, runners at second and third for Brook Hill. And the pitch, and it's a slider, and it's hit right off the mound into center field. 1 run will score. Throw to the plate. It's going to be close, but out of the glove of Mason Speaker, and 2 runs come across on an 2 RBI single that has found Miguel Vega at second on the throw in from the outfield. So 2 runs come across in the bottom of the third into 2-0 Guard lead. And that add to it in this series, 5 total RBI in this series in these first 2 games, or game and a half at this point, for Miguel Vega, who went yard over the left field fence in the first inning last night. So with a 2-0 Brook Hill lead, and swinging and missing on the opening offering from Farr is Campbell Fletcher, 0 for 1 today. He ground out to back to the pitcher an inning ago. And that one high and outside for ball 1. On deck, the first baseman Ty Overbeek, 0 for 1 today. 2 outs, runner at second for the Guard, and the 1-1 from Cade Farr. This one high above the belt, more like the letters for ball 2. 286 hitter on the year, Campbell Fletcher, but 0 for 3 last night. Ground out every time. And a cut at this off-speed pitch. That's that slider again. 2-2 the count. And the delivery, this is going to fall for another single. And into shallow center field, Logan Britt tries to fire it in. He's got a good arm, but not good enough. And another run comes home in Miguel Vega. An RBI single for Campbell Fletcher. And back-to-back hits, the first 2 hits of the day for Brook Hill, are huge.
First baseman number 18,
Up 3-0 in the bottom of the third, still with 2 outs and a runner at first. And Logan Britt has a rifle of an arm out there. In fact, he's quite the pitcher, according to Mike Failer, but he is committed to Texas A&M and is not listed as a pitcher. He could do it if need be. More of a center fielder like he is here, although he has played DH for most of the year. This one low and away to Ty Overbeek for ball 1. And the 1-0, swing and a miss, and Overbeek has consistently had an issue in this series finding the ball, as he is currently right now strapped with 4 straight strikeouts dating back to last night. The 1-1, swing and a miss yet again. And Anything outside right now is all Cade Farr is willing to offer. And why not Overbeek? 1 ball, 2 strikes, and 2 away with a runner at first in the deal. This one down in the dirt, and Overbeek does lay off. And just like he was back in the second, Overbeek finds himself in a 2-2 count. All Saints down 1-0 in this series at the shoe tops, and that loads the count. Cade Farr, if he does miss on his trajectory, it is out wide of the plate, but he's had that working today. Here comes a big payoff pitch, and that one is very wide. And tossing that yellow bat towards the dugout and taking the free pass to first is Ty Overbeek. So that pushes up Campbell Fletcher over to second, and here comes Mike Failer to talk things over with Cade Farr, who was humming right along going into this inning, only throwing at 28 pitches, but has hit a stumbling block, and 3 runs have come across in the bottom of the third. A 3-0 Brook Hill lead. It should only be a short conversation, as nobody has been warming up in any bullpen. And it is, as Mike Failer just talking everything over with the infield. And everybody resumes their positions for both All Saints and along the base paths for the guard.
Third baseman number 17.
And if you're just joining us, missed our coverage last night, yes, that is their team mascot, for lack of a better word, their moniker, the nickname of the Guard, which I got to say, big thumbs up over here. I think that's pretty cool. Sometimes they'll use a shield, other times a cannon to represent the team. So the opening offering in this one skied by Jake Schaefer, the third baseman, and having a play at it is Matt Teeting, and he has to backtrack, but he does get it, and that does on one pitch. Finally in the inning, nearly batting around, was the Guard. So 3 runs come across, and they do so courtesy of only 2 hits. No errors and 1 left on. A 3-0 lead for the Guard, and the Saints coming up to bat with their 4, 5, and 6 hitters after this on the Texas 24/7 television network.